Did you know how American football began? How the NFL got to where we're at? How it all started? The logo has changed over the years, and so has the helmets, the uniforms, the players, the rules, everything. Now, the research I've done took me back to the ancient Greeks, where they played a game called Harpaston, where the goal was to get the ball over the goal line by kicking it, running it, or throwing it to a different player. And the other team's objective was to stop them by any means necessary. As they called it, was a very rough and brutal game. Now, the old-time footballs had more of a circular look. To what we see now is more of a football shape. But the football shape of 100 years ago was a little different. The pigskin was the actual football material, not just a saying of what we call it today. Now, the modernizing of football, where players actually getting paid to play what we call now football, began in the mid-1800s, where over in England, King Henry II to the Fourth had it banned because they thought it took away from classic sports over there like archery and fencing. Now, as football traveled over the Atlantic, we're now hitting the mid to late 1800s. Football in America started to evolve into football, more lacking the principles of rugby and soccer where it originated, but almost started to have plays and a point similar, but America wanted to be different than England. They didn't want the classic rugby rules, all-out scrum and no thinking, no just shoving the other player. It began as that. As you can see, the oldest video footage is just piles of people ramming at piles of people. There was no point or purpose or finesse or scheming. Now in 1892, the first player was paid $500 to play a game. So if you define pro is getting paid to do something. So pro football began in 1892 when the first player was paid to play a game. Up till then, it was just colleges playing colleges or athletic companies playing athletic companies for this game of football, which each game across the country was different in its own way. Now, the football as we know it today started to evolve more as the 1900s came, to where there started to become teams playing other teams in different parts of the country, not just specifically region playing their own regions. As time went on, the helmets changed from leather to a harder leather to a plastic leather to a padded leather underneath metal with a faceplate in front, as you see now. Now, as time rolled on, we hit the 1900s, and the whole country started really getting into football more on a regional level. There were no teams people across the country rooted for, but they started to develop and pop up. In 1900, William C. Temple took over team payments for the Dusquince Country and Athletic Club, becoming the first known individual club owner. People were starting to invest in this, starting to jump on the bandwagon. Then in 1902, baseball's Philadelphia Athletics, managed by Connie Mack, and the Philadelphia Phillies, the baseball teams, they formed professional football teams, joining the Pittsburgh Stars in the first attempt at a pro football league, named the National Football League in 1902. Now who you're seeing here is Jim Thorpe, probably one of the first NFL stars, played for the Canton Bulldogs. He was also a gold medalist. It was players like Jim Thorpe that kind of paved the way for NFL to become popular along America. You see a guy punching another player in the face before the face mask was there. Now, whether or not he kept the ball was a mystery. Now, you were allowed to basically wrestle the players to the ground. There was no hitting below the knees. The defensive prowess was just as much pride as the offensive prowess. These players knew when they got in there that they were going to get beat up, but they loved the game. Now, football began to grow in the mid-1900s. It really started to explode as the NFL met the AFL. And as they began to join, and the NFL reigned supreme, but the rest of the country also rooted for the AFL. Now, both conferences thought they reigned supreme, so they decided to join them in January of 1967, starting the modern era of the NFL, to that game being called the Super Bowl. Now, to where we are now, the Super Bowl era began in '67. As you can see, players would hit. The country was entranced, still are entranced to a degree. You were allowed to demolish the offense. The penalties weren't swayed in one direction, because offense may sell football now. But wait, what made football grow in the past is defense. The ability to hit another human being at full steam, and the havoc it would cause, and the punishment the players would take. Because the players might not have known the long-term effects, but they knew that the years of punishment and being smashed was going to take its toll. Now, I understand players' safety and the love for the NFL, but it's starting to become a stray, because we got to where we are today from offense and defense. Now, as the years go on, the more we sway to offensive productivity and turn a blind eye to defensive prowess, it will catch up with us. And this long American love for the NFL soon might fade away, because these big hits you're seeing are not going to be around much longer. So we started back in the 1800s, worked our way through the 1900s, and now we reach modern day, the 2000s, modern football. How we got now to where we want to go. Will we grow worldwide? Will we fail and crumble from the penalties? Will we keep watching the NFL? I hope we will. I hope they bring back defense. Alright, if you guys like it, please subscribe, like, all that fun stuff. Howdy. Please like, subscribe. I'll try and make more.